this might be the perfect thing to be reading during Summerween. I want the book to shock me in the way that this did. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first Summerween vlog of 2026. If you're new here and you're like, what is Summerween and what are you talking about? I will have my announcement linked down below, but Summerween is an annual spooky readathon that I love to host in the month of July, and the entire goal of this readathon is to bring the spooky vibes of Halloween into the summer, because as a huge lover of Halloween and the fall time, I just love to celebrate the spooky vibes all year long. I recently did just post a TBR video with my wrap-up that's going to talk about all of the books that I'm planning to read for this readathon. We do have 5 different reading prompts for this readathon. We also do have an Instagram, and over there we have even more things like an Instagram daily photo challenge. We have a bingo board. I'm actually a little bit nervous for this round of Summerween, mostly because I've been in kind of a big reading slump throughout the entire month of June. I've also been trying to like balance reading with my new bookstore job that I just got in the month of May. So life has been a little bit chaotic at the moment, but I do have an entire stack of books that I'm hoping to get through this week. Obviously, this stack is completely unrealistic for me and I'm probably not going to be able to read this much. But I did actually start reading with my Summerween TBR a little bit early, because 2 of the books I was hoping to read this week include Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep by Paul Tremblay, as well as Kiss Slay Replay by Rachel Harrison. I'm about 92 pages into this one right now and I'm reading it with my eyeballs. This one is an arc that I have and it's going on sale in September. And then I also have been reading this one. I'm a bit further into this one. I'm like 236 pages in, so I don't have too much longer left on this one. And I think I'm actually gonna save this one to finish it on one of the nights when I'm working like an 8-hour shift, because I just know that at the end of those long shifts, I'm not gonna have like the brain power to come home and like finish an entire book that night. So I'm hoping to read the rest of this book on one of those nights. I am planning to do some daily vlogging throughout Summerween. This vlog that you're watching now is going to include days 1 and 2, and then I will be posting another vlog later this week that'll have days 3, 4, and 5, I think, and then maybe 6 and 7 in the final vlog. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm gonna do it yet because I am gonna be working at the bookstore throughout this week, and so because of that, I'm actually gonna be starting the readathon a day early, because the day that this readathon kicks off on a Friday, I'm actually gonna be working that day and I'm gonna be working an 8-hour shift. So because of that, I'm gonna be starting the readathon tomorrow on July 2nd, because I'm very excited to get started on this TBR and I have so many books that I'm hoping to get through. And as you might know, every time that I host these Summerween readathons, I love to make these little music videos with my sister. We've made music videos for the last couple of years, and this is also gonna be our 7th time hosting Summerween, by the way. Like, we've been doing this together for 7 years. Is that not so crazy? I'm a really big Taylor Swift fan, so typically what I like to do is I'll rewrite the lyrics of a Taylor Swift song to fit the theme of the readathon, and this year was no different. I really adore this music video that me and my sister made this year. I think it's so cute. My sister plays the ghost in the music video as usual. So without any further ado, here is this year's Summerween music video.
I'll spend the summertime reading horror books under the trees or by the lake. As legend has it, there is a readathon with ghosts so real it can't be fake. And I wait all year for Halloween, the dreaded summer, it kills me slowly. I swore I'd wait all year for chills, the fear, the horror. I don't wanna wait a day more. All that time roasting alive in the summer, when my heart longs for thunder and the stormy vibes. In July, you dug me out of my grave and saved my soul from the burden of summertime. And we'll be reading at the fair, the lake, the woods. Grab your blankets and we'll wear them like their hoods. Don't care if you read for thrills or to feel good. We're just counting down the days till it's Halloween. The burning sun is all around, but we'll read till the sun goes down. The Ferris wheel and purple skies got nothing on a spooky night. And if you see me as a ghost, you'll know just where my story goes. The autumn leaves are calling me just in time for Summerween. All that time just wishing it was October, when the summer is over, clouds and stormy vibes. In July, you dug me out of my grave and saved my soul from the burden of summertime. We'll be reading at the fair, the lake, the woods. Grab your blankets and we'll wear them like their hoods. Don't care if you read for thrills or to feel good. We're just counting down the days till it's Halloween. For now, we have Summerween.
Alright, that was this year's Summerween music video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. These music videos are just kind of meant to be like fun and silly and not really taken that seriously. Like, I'm just trying to bring a little bit of joy to the internet. And I also just wanted to mention that no AI was used in the making of this video, because trust me, no AI is capable of being as cringy as I can be. I rewrite all of these lyrics myself, and I also record the music on GarageBand. I do the vocals for these songs, which you can probably tell because I know that they're not the best. You know, as I mentioned, I'm a millennial and I embrace the cringe. I just think it's really fun, and I hope that you enjoyed it because we had an amazing time filming this one. I'm actually really proud of these lyrics too, because even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the Life of a Showgirl album, I just thought The Fate of Ophelia would be like the perfect song. It just kind of has this like spooky vibe to it. But anyway, I'm really excited to get started on this Summerween vlog tomorrow morning. I'm not entirely sure which book I want to start with for the readathon. I'm kind of torn between either starting with Slasher Summer, or I might start with the new Chuck Tingle, the one called Fabulous Bodies, because I do have that one as an ARC on my Kindle, and I also have access to the audiobook from the publisher, and then this one I was able to get the audiobook from my library as well, so I think I'm going to be starting on one of these tomorrow morning. I also have plans in the morning to go to Value Village because I need to do an exchange on one of the shirts that I bought there recently, and so I'm hoping that I can exchange that and get something else. So that's what I'm going to be up to in the morning, but I will update you with thoughts once I get started on one of these books. Hello and happy day one of Summerween! It's technically not day one, but it's day one for me. And can you believe that it's pouring rain outside? Oh my gosh, this morning while I was driving down, it was looking really cloudy and I was like, is it gonna rain today? And then I checked the weather and it said, yes, bitch, it is gonna rain today. And now it's dumping rain. You know, this is what I love about Washington, because like the last couple of days have been pretty warm. And then all of a sudden, right now, it's July 2nd and it's dumping rain. It's honestly kind of magical. Like the street has that smell when it starts to rain for the first time in a while. Oh my god, I love that smell. But anyway, I just drove down here to Value Village because I was gonna exchange one of the shirts that I bought, because the last time that I came down here, it was like almost 2 weeks ago now, and I got a cute little haul, but like one of the white shirts that I got, it really didn't fit right and it looked really weird on me, and that was a shirt that I paid $13 for, so I was like, okay, I should come back here and exchange. Thankfully, oh my gosh, you can exchange stuff from Value Village if you bought it within 14 days. I literally bought this shirt, I think like 13 days ago, like I barely just made that cutoff, but it was perfect because I was able to exchange the shirt, and then I did get a few other things. I ended up getting this really cute black jacket that I'll show you, and then I also got 3 other t-shirts that I can show you, so I'll show you my cute little haul when I get home. But I'm really happy with everything that I was able to find. Like my local Value Village is absolutely incredible, and they always have really cool stuff here. But anyway, this morning while I was driving on the way down here and while I was, you know, shopping around, I've been listening to Fabulous Bodies by Chuck Tingle. I decided to start with this one today because this book was actually recently announced as like one of the Aardvark picks for July, and because I already have, you know, like the ARC on my Kindle, I was like, you know, I should actually try to read this before I just like automatically purchase the book, especially because I wasn't the biggest fan of the last book by Chuck Tingle, the one that's called Lucky Day, but I loved Bury Your Gaze from this author so freaking much. So I was really curious about this one, especially because Fabulous Bodies is being described as Drive meets Beetlejuice, and I was just like, I need to know what that means. Like, what the heck? I'm also going to be using this one towards the prompt of like reading a book with pink on the cover, because there's some pink happening on this cover, and I absolutely love this cover, by the way. I think it's so fun, and I've already gotten 48% of the way through this one on audio. I was actually trying to like update where I'm at on my Kindle, and then my Kindle just like completely froze and I had to restart it. So I haven't been following along in my Kindle too much. I've mostly just been listening on audio, but this one is going so well so far. This book is absolutely ridiculous. So in this story, we're following this woman named Poppy, and she is a fashion influencer by day, and then she's also a grave robber by night, and she's like one of those characters that's like not the most likable person to be following. I mean, she's constantly talking about how she like thinks that she's better than everyone and that she's super hot. And she also has this daughter that she's looking out for. And I feel like there's already been a lot of commentary about like the influencer culture and how she tries to justify it as like, I'm doing this for my daughter. And even her daughter's like, you're not doing this for me. Anyway, there's this really famous musician, this guy named Eddie Michaels, and he's kind of like this gay, queer pop icon of a man. It honestly kind of sounds like he's comparable to maybe like Elton John or like David Bowie, like somebody like that. And so this guy, Eddie Michaels, he unexpectedly dies. And then Poppy ends up getting this phone call with this woman saying she's gonna offer her $5 million to go and retrieve his body from the medical examiner's office. So that's what she does. And then in the synopsis, it says, but what starts as a routine delivery quickly goes off course when Eddie wakes up. It says Poppy must fight for her life in a blood-soaked night of carnage and fabulous entertainment all across Palm Springs. At only 48% of the way in, this book has been so fun so far. There's something about the writing. I'm really loving the characters. Like the dynamic between the characters is really entertaining. And I actually do love following Poppy as a character, even though I do think she's written in a way where she's supposed to be kind of unlikable, but like her voice is just so funny in this book. Like I really like her character a lot. I feel like this book is also having a lot of commentary about like art in general and like what's considered as like valuable entertainment, you know, because this guy is like this gay queer icon from a different time period. And you know, he's really into music and art. And he kind of like criticizes her for being like an influencer. And he's like, yeah, but what are you even doing? Being an influencer is not the same thing as being an artist, which is definitely something that I would agree with as well. But how they are both kind of like entertainers in their own ways. I don't know, there's a lot of really interesting conversations happening. And I'm just loving the writing so much. And I feel like this is reminding me of like every Chuck Tingle book that I've ever read because it's very gay and it's also very gory. Like, oh my God, some of the things that I've been reading about, I'm like, damn, dude, this one might actually be the most gory thing that I've read from Chuck Tingle so far. I don't know. I can't remember the gory details of the other books because it's been a while since I've read those. But like this one, I'm like, oh my gosh, like thank God I wasn't eating while I was reading that because that was insane. So it's going very well. Like I honestly feel like at this point, depending on how the rest of the book goes, like I could see myself giving this 4 or 5 stars. I just really like the way that Chuck Tingle writes horror. I find it to be so engaging. The storyline too is very interesting. Like I can't wait to see where this goes. There's a particular element in the plot that I'm really loving, but I don't want to say what it is because I feel like it could be kind of spoilery, but I'm really curious to see where that specific element of the story goes as well. Like I'm really invested. It also feels great to be reading this and loving it as much as I am, you know, because I have been pretty slumpy throughout the month of June and I was kind of worried, you know, like going into Summerween, I was like, oh God, you know, like what am I going to do if I'm like still in this reading slump? So it feels really good to be reading something that I'm really loving right now. And this book is on the shorter side. I think it's only like 240 pages. So it feels like it's going to be one of those books that's like a really quick read. Anyway, it is just about to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I think my plan for this afternoon, like I really wanted to go to the park today and like do some reading in the park, but like clearly because it's dumping rain, I don't think that's going to happen today. So instead, I think I'm going to drive down to like one of my local favorite coffee places in the area down here in Bellingham. My favorite coffee spot in Bellingham is this little drive-up spot that's called Mercury Coffee. Their caramel silk, it's like a latte. Oh my God, it's my favorite thing ever. So I think I'm going to order one of those. And then maybe I will just like drive down to my local park and just do some reading like in the parking lot. I don't know. I just kind of want to be like surrounded by trees. Okay, hi, it's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know if you can hear the rain coming down on the car right now, but it has been raining nonstop for like the last few hours, and it's honestly kind of magical. I just finished reading Fabulous Bodies by Chuck Tingle, and oh my God, I loved this. I think I have to give this book 5 stars. And like honestly, to start off Summerween with a 5-star book after the reading slump that I've been in for like the last month, oh my gosh, like there is no better feeling in the world. Like truly, I'm so happy that I loved this book as much as I did. This book was everything. Like this book was everything I was hoping it would be and more. I've been like sitting here debating if this is like my new favorite book from Chuck Tingle because I still think Bury Your Gaze might be like my top #1 favorite. I just have such a special connection to that book, but I think this was like the perfect horror book in so many ways, because this book had some moments that had my jaw like on the floor with like how disgusting, oh my god, like some of the body horror in this and like some of the moments of goriness. Holy shit, it was excessive. Like this book is truly disgusting, but like in the way that I want when I'm reading horror. But I also just loved the storytelling in this. Oh my god, like there was a moment where there was like a little bit of a twist in the plot that I did not see coming, and it changed everything about the story for me, and I was like, bitch, what? Like my jaw was actually on the floor. I was like, what do you mean? I also just thought the characters were so good in this book. You know, Poppy was such a fascinating character to follow from her perspective because she is very morally gray, and I love the way that she talked about, you know, like being an influencer in this book. But I actually like that her character felt very well-rounded, because yes, most of the time she is unlikable. Like her voice comes across as like very like narcissistic at times, but I love the way that she's such a complex character because you can really tell how much she loves her daughter. And it was really interesting too, because like there was a conversation that she had with her daughter at the start of this book where her daughter was like talking about wanting to be a certain type of fish, and then Poppy's response was like, well, wouldn't you want to be a shark, like if you had the choice? And her daughter was like, no, like why would I want to be a shark? And it was a really interesting conversation because it kind of like lets you into like Poppy's mindset about how she always wants to be like on top, you know, like she wants to be in control. She wants to be the one that other people fear. And it was just really interesting to like get in the head of her character. And then also like the character of this guy, Eddie Michaels, like this queer icon, he was also a very fascinating character to follow. And I feel like he also had a lot of really great commentary about art and like culture. I feel like this book was also trying to have a lot of commentary about how like the older generation will blame the younger generation for everything, or they'll just be like, oh, like your generation will never understand. I don't know, there were some aspects of this book, at least with like the way that this character would talk about like the realities of being an influencer. It kind of reminded me of like Yesteryear a little bit, and even like Julie Chan is Dead, because I feel like sometimes the like influencer talk in books, like sometimes it can be really obnoxious and I don't always love it. But I feel like in this particular case with this book, it reminded me of like how I felt about Julie Chan is Dead or Yesteryear, where I thought it was some really entertaining commentary about like what it actually means to be an influencer and like what it means to entertain people, like when that's your job is to entertain the masses. And that's why I thought it was really interesting that these two characters, like the way they kind of connected over that in a weird way. I also just really loved the writing in this in general, because I feel like even the most monstrous of characters, or like even the most villainous characters, can have layers to them, and like people can be morally gray. Like I really liked the conversation when this guy was like, where are all the goddamn hobbies? Does every single swamp creature just eat people all day? Does every single alien just colonize planets? You start to realize there's so much more to life than just the struggle. I just think the writing in this book was so good. It was very thought-provoking and it really made me think. But then also at the same time, like this book had some of the most like disgusting imagery when it comes to horror. Like, oh my god, some of the things that were happening in this book, like I don't think I'll ever get that out of my brain. It was gross and it was over the top, but like in exactly the way that I love when I read horror. Like I want the book to shock me in the way that this did. So I am so impressed. You have no idea. I'm so happy to have a 5-star kicking off this readathon. Are you kidding me? I did end up ordering this book on Aardvark when I was like halfway through it because of how much I was already loving it. I was like, you know what? I might as well. So I did order my copy from Aardvark, and I also added Japanese Gothic to my box. Japanese Gothic is like one of my favorite horror books that I've read this year, and I actually also read that one as a Kindle ARC back before it came out, and then when it ended up being an Aardvark pick, I never picked it up, even though that one has like a really cool like special edition. So I'm really excited because I added that to my cart, so soon I will have Japanese Gothic in my hands. Okay, hi, I'm back. This is one of the shirts from Value Village. Is this not so cute? Dude, I've been loving shirts like this recently that have like buttons down the middle like that. And then my favorite find out of everything today is look at this black jacket. Hold on, let me put this on so you can see how cute it is. Oh my god, are we obsessed? Dude, I'm actually obsessed. Like, this is so cute. It's almost like a black jean jacket like this. Oh my god, I love it so much. I kind of like feel like Dean Winchester in this. Like, this would totally be something that Dean Winchester would wear, and I'm happy about that. Oh my god, it's so cute. I can't get enough of it. Like, I need to wash this so that I can wear it soon. Then let me try on the other shirts. Okay, I also ended up getting this brown shirt, which I really like, actually. This one was from American Eagle, but it was only like $5 at Value Village, and I don't really have anything in this color, but I love the way that this shirt fits because it's not hugging me like way too tight like some of the other ones. This material is like so soft. And then, oh my god, I'm so happy with this purchase. I got this little like cute collared black shirt with like a little bit of a dip right here. Dude, I love this. This was only $2 at Value Village. When I saw it there for only $2, my first reaction was like, well, what's wrong with it? Because it's so cute. Like, why was it so cheap? I have no idea. I'm kind of obsessed. Like, this is gonna be me every day for the rest of the year, probably. Wow, prepare to be sick of me because I'm never taking this jacket off. Okay, hi, it is now just after 3 o'clock. I just threw all of those new clothes that I got into the washer, and I thought maybe now would be a good time to just lay in bed and read a little bit more of Kiss Slay Replay, because, you know, as I was mentioning, I did get a head start on this a few nights ago, and I got 92 pages into this one so far, and this one has been a little bit slow of a start for me because I can't decide if I'm liking it or not. You know, Rachel Harrison has been such a hit or miss author for me in the past, but like her most recent book, Play Nice, is one that I really enjoyed, and I think I gave that one 4 stars. And so I've been really looking forward to this one because this one also involves a time loop as well as a wedding, which are 2 things that I do usually enjoy reading about. So we're following this character named Willa, and she's having a really bad time because her and her fiance have recently split up, and you know, she's really devastated about it because she really thought that he was going to be the one for her. Now she has to go to this wedding that's like her best friend's wedding, and she's going to be a bridesmaid at the wedding, and it's actually going to be her first time seeing her ex since they've split up. And you know, her ex, he's actually bringing a date to the wedding, and so she has to like see him with another girl, so like that's also kind of awkward. And then it says she ends up meeting this guy named Danny, and he is the groom's charming childhood best friend, and it kind of seems like it's setting up a little bit of like a romantic situation between her and this guy Danny. And there was actually some really creepy imagery at the start of this that I really liked, where she felt like she was being watched when she was at the wedding, and she's like looking off into the trees, and she thinks that she sees like a dark like hooded figure out in the trees, and she feels like something's wrong. And it says when her and Danny sneak off together, it says their time is interrupted by a masked killer terrorizing the reception. Willa and Danny fight to save the ones they love and survive the night, but the killer is unrelenting. A final girl, Willa, is not. And then when they start to realize that like a killer is on the loose, she ends up getting stabbed, and then when she wakes up, it's the wedding day all over again. So she thinks that she's stuck in this time loop where she's gonna have to like repeat the day of the wedding over and over again. So like concept-wise, I think this is very fun. You know, like I think this is a very interesting take on like a slasher, and I love the idea of a time loop. Like anytime that's like an element in a storyline, I get really into it because I think that's a very fun thing plot-wise. I just don't know if I'm like loving the writing in this very much. Like the writing in this just feels so simplistic and just kind of like basic. Like I don't know, I really want more from this writing. And I also think Willa as a character to follow, like so far I'm finding her to be a little bit annoying, I'm not gonna lie. Like the way that she's constantly just talking about her ex-fiance, because I've been debating like all week if I still want to continue with reading this book because of how much I wasn't really vibing with her character at the beginning. But because of the cool like time loop element, I definitely still want to give this book a fair shot. But I think I'm gonna read for the next like hour to like maybe an hour and a half before I have dinner later. Okay, hi, hello. It is almost 4:30 in the afternoon. I have to DNF this though. I'm just really not vibing with this. And you know, I know this book doesn't come out until September, but like I'm already looking through a lot of the reviews on Goodreads, and like this book is getting such high praise already. And like, to be honest, I don't really understand it because I'm not seeing anybody really talking about the issues that I'm having with this, and that is mostly with the writing. I find the writing to be absolutely obnoxious in this book because not only is the writing itself just like so repetitive, but I just feel like the writing in this book is not very good and not up to standard with like some of the other books that I've read from Rachel Harrison. She'll keep doing this thing, you know, like just to get her point across, where it's like these very short staccato sentences over and over, kind of like repeating the same idea over and over again. I actually ended up tabbing a few different spots in the story to try and explain what I'm talking about. And like, I know that this is an ARC copy that I have. This book doesn't publish until September. So like there is a chance that some of these sentences could be changed by the time the book is actually published. But like the writing in this is just driving me absolutely nuts because she said, wait, period, it's ... it's the morning, it's this morning, it's ... it's Friday, the 25th, it's the morning of the wedding, it's a day I've already lived. I call Cassie, period, it rings, period, once, period, twice, period, 3 times, period. And then here's another example when she says, I want to apologize, I want to cry, I am, period, I'm crying, period. Or how about this one when at the end of the chapter she says, her eyes are wide and pretty, sweetly searching mine for approval. Her eyes, her eyes, her eyes, her eyes, her eyes. She repeats it 5 times. Oh, and then there's also this one where she says, a very DJ looking DJ appears in the booth. Like, what the freak does that mean, a DJ looking DJ? Like, could you not think of any other descriptors there? It says, he tells us to please welcome the bride and the groom. Steph and Jace bounce in holding hands. He twirls her, period. dips her, period. Almost drops her, period. Everyone laughs, period. Like, why are all of these sentences like 2 or 3 words long? I don't understand. And these are just a few examples that I decided to like add a little tab in there so I could come back to it. But when I'm telling you, most of the writing in this book feels this way, where she's just writing in these short staccato sentences, and it all just feels very meaningless. And not only is like the writing in this book just kind of like driving me absolutely nuts, but like so is the main character. I do think that Rachel Harrison is trying to have some commentary here about, you know, like anxiety and depression, which is something that I really want to appreciate about this book, but there's something about the way this character is being written. She's just so annoying to me. I guess I just really wanted this character to like have more layers to her personality, because I feel like I've read so many horror books, especially recently, that have really good representation of anxiety and depression without the main character coming across as like super annoying. So I don't know, this is clearly not the book for me. I mean, a lot of people on Goodreads seem to be really loving this one. Like, I think this has an average of like a 4.2 out of 5 right now. So clearly I think I'm going to be in the minority of people who feel this way about this one. I just really don't like the writing in this. So I think I'm going to have to call this one quits at only 142 pages in. This is not the one for me, but you know, it's okay because I can't complain too much because I just had a 5-star favorite earlier this afternoon. I might just go out and pick up some fast food, and then I'm going to see if my mom's up for watching more X-Files tonight. We've been slowly but surely making our way through the X-Files because I've kind of been like in a show hangover, to be honest, after finishing Supernatural. Like, I've just been really sad ever since finishing Supernatural. I'm like, nothing's gonna live up to this show for me. But now we're about like, I want to say we're like 13 episodes into the first season of the X-Files, and the episodes are getting more and more interesting the more that we're watching. Like, I really love a lot of the different concepts in the episodes. Like, some of them are actually really creepy and they still hold up. And I am really liking both Mulder and Scully as characters. Like, I find them both to be really interesting. They're already planting the romance seeds between them, and I'm like screaming, oh my god, anytime there's even the subtlest hint of a romance between them, I'm like losing my mind. I've heard that they're one of the best slow burn romances of all time, and so I can't wait to see their romance happen in the show. Like, that's definitely the thing that I'm most invested in right now. It is now day 2 of Summerween for real. It's Saturday. So yesterday was Friday, and I ended up working at the bookstore like pretty much all day yesterday. While I was on my lunch break, I ended up starting reading this book called Ash. And then last night when I got home, I didn't get home until after like 8:30 at night last night, but I ended up finishing the rest of this before bed. And this book is a really short one, right? It's only like 148 pages. And the audiobook that I had for this from my library is only 2 hours long. Ended up being such a quick read because a lot of this book kind of reads in this very like almost experimental, very like poetic style. Even on the pages where the text is like a normal size, like I don't know if you can tell, but the text is just absolutely huge. Like, it's so large. So this book read very quickly, and to be honest, I don't really know how I feel about this. I think I'm probably going to give this like 3 stars. I don't think I really understood what I just read. I mean, the premise for this book just says that it's about a hardworking mother before and after a devastating weather event, capturing the everyday wonders and infuriating indignities of motherhood. And I think that's exactly what this book is. It reads so much like a fever dream, and oftentimes it reads a lot like poetry. There's a lot of repetition throughout the book that feels a lot like poetry when it's saying, what is it that worries you about the ash? That worries you about breathing it in? What is it that worries you about not being there? What is it that worries you about, can you comprehend the universe? And I feel like that question is repeated a lot throughout the book, that idea of like, can you comprehend the universe? I don't really know what it means, but it made me feel very unsettled while I was reading this. I think it definitely got the point across, and I feel like this story feels like a mother who's like losing her mind, trying to keep her children safe. Throughout this book, she's kind of dealing with her son having a fever and trying to manage that. This was just a very, very strange read, to be honest. Like, I don't even know how to talk about this with you. I thought it was just fine. I think these days fever dream books I'm liking less and less, I've noticed. I guess it depends on what the book is about though, because this one was primarily about motherhood. Anyway, it is Saturday morning. I'm going to be getting ready to do some reading sprints with my Patreon pretty soon, in about like an hour-ish. And I think today my only goal is that I really want to read Slasher Summer by E.L. Chen today. I think I'm going to count Ash towards the prompt of like reading a book that's less than 200 pages, because I think that's one of the prompts that we had. And then for for Slasher Summer, I'm going to be reading this one for an author that I've never read before. I mean, technically, I've also never read from this author before, so I could also count it towards that. God, these last like 24 to 48 hours have been so intense because my mom right now, she currently has pneumonia and she's been going back and forth to the doctor. And like the other night, that Thursday night, she ended up getting really bad to the point where I was like nervous. I was like, do you need to get hospitalized? Because she was having some like severe like shortness of breath and she was wheezing a lot. And I was doing a lot of Googling trying to figure out like at what point do you go to the hospital? And it was just really scary. It was a really long night. Luckily, my mom's been doing like a tiny bit better now, but she's still having so much like wheezing and shortness of breath. And it just scares the crap out of me. Like I don't like hearing it. She has a really bad cough. And so my mom having pneumonia is definitely something that's like affecting my week. Like it's just been so sad and it's so awful. And I hate seeing her sick. And yesterday at work ended up being a really chill day for the most part. Most of my shift, I was either like on the register, you know, like talking to customers yesterday, or they also had me doing a lot of pullbacks yesterday, which is basically where you're getting a list of books that they're going to be sending back to the publisher. So I was like going through the store trying to find all of those. We also ended up taking down our big like Pride display because now that it's July, they want to change it from like a Pride display in the store. I think it's going to be changing to some kind of like summer theme. So I was working on that and like reshelving all of the Pride books in the store yesterday. And it ended up being a really great day yesterday. Like I love in the bookstore when they like give me a task to do like that, like something that's going to take me some time to do, because during those 8-hour shifts, like I love to have something to work on. And I can't wait to see how the display wall is going to look different now. But anyway, I'm going to head to my local coffee shop and pick up some breakfast because I'm starving and I don't feel like making food here at the house. So let's get day 2 of Summerween started. It is just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but I wanted to update you because I've been reading Slasher Summer. I just got to page 124, and according to the audiobook, I'm almost 50% of the way through it. So I thought now would be a good time to update you because I'm really enjoying this one so far. You know, in the beginning, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this because I feel like usually books that are slashers can be very hit or miss for me. I feel like sometimes I really enjoy them and sometimes I really don't. I tend to enjoy slasher movies more than I enjoy slasher books, but this book has been really fun so far. You know, at the start of this book, I was like, oh God, because they're doing a lot of like character dumping on you because we're following 7 different characters. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was making notes about like who's who because I was like, I'm easily overwhelmed when I get introduced to like a huge cast of characters. And so for the first few chapters, I wasn't sure how I was feeling about it because I was just trying to get a grasp on like who's who. But something that I love about this book is that we're following these 7 different characters and all of them were close friends when they were in high school. And this book is actually taking place like 4 years after they've graduated and they're going to be reuniting again for the first time. And they're going to be going to this cabin in Cedar Lake where there was this really famous movie there called Slasher Summer that was filmed there 20 years ago. The movie's actually having its 20th anniversary. And it's actually really cool because on the blurb on the back, it says, what if the cast of The Breakfast Club ended up in the world of Scream? And so far, that's exactly how this book is feeling because all 7 of these characters, they do kind of have like the typical stereotypes. Like we do have this character named Carrie and she's definitely like the virgin final girl type of character. And then we have another character named Tiffany and she's a cheerleader. We have this other guy named Jason who's a football player. We have all of the typical, you know, like stereotypes, like there's a goth girl, there's this guy who's a stoner. But the audiobook for this is actually really great because it's a full cast audiobook and we get the perspective of almost all of the characters. There are definitely some characters that I think feel a bit more fleshed out than others. I think by far Tiffany has got to be the character that's like the most annoying to read from because, you know, she's the cheerleader and she clearly thinks that she's better than everyone. You know, she has a lot of language that's like, well, I'd rather be called a slut than a virgin. And I think actually my favorite perspective to get so far is this guy named Patrick, and he's this gay black guy in the group. And then there's also this other guy, Jason, that's the football player. I actually do think that his perspective, like he has a little bit more depth to his character than I originally thought. And then also Jen, she's the one who's like the goth girl. Oh my God, her perspective is like cracking me up. Like she's so funny. And what's really fun about this book is that when all of these characters, when they're all back at this cabin together, they start to believe that there's like someone out in the woods watching them. There's this person going around with this mask on that's like made famous by the movies, and they're starting to think that there's a real killer on the loose. And so it has like really great atmosphere and really good vibes. Like I feel like this might be the perfect thing to be reading during Summerween, especially, you know, like Rin pointed out to me on my Patreon reading sprints this morning that all of these characters are named after iconic horror movie characters. I mean, we have Jen, you know, from like Jennifer's Body. We have Patrick, you know, from Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. We have Freddy, of course, Jason, Michael, like Michael Myers. So I thought that was like a cute little detail. You know, the thing about having a lot of characters that read like stereotypes is that I do think that can get annoying when like they're all acting so much like a stereotype. But there are a few characters that are getting more fleshed out than others that I'm getting more attached to. And there's also a little bit of like a gay, possibly romantic storyline happening that I was not expecting. And so far I am very invested in the potential gay romance because of course I am. So it's actually going very well so far. Like I was a little bit nervous reading this one today because I wasn't sure if this was going to be the book for me. I feel like I've been let down recently by so many different slashers. I loved too, there was this one line that said slasher movies were nothing. The real horror was not being able to escape who you were in high school. And I was like, damn, if that's not the truth. And I'm planning to finish the rest of this today because it's been such a quick read. I am just flying through the pages. I'm still doing some reading sprints on Patreon right now. And I also got the chance to like premiere the music video for my Patreon this morning. So that was really fun. I'm probably going to take a walk. It's actually like looking really nice out today. Like the weather's not too bad. It is nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just wrapped up my reading sprints on Patreon and I'm so excited to let you know that I finished reading Slasher Summer. Really surprised me. Like I was not expecting to like this book as much as I did today. I'm kind of torn though on what I want to rate it because I don't think it was the perfect 5-star for me for a few reasons, but I think I'm probably going to give this like 4.5 stars, but I really enjoyed this one so much and I genuinely feel like this was like the perfect book for Summerween. It's actually so funny because a lot of friends on Patreon were also reading this book and I feel like this one has become the like unofficial buddy read of Summerween. I feel like there's always something, you know, typically in all of the years in the past, Riley Sager has kind of been like the unofficial buddy read of Summerween. And I feel like this is the first year in such a long time that I can't read his new book because it doesn't come out until August. So I feel like now this book has taken the place of like the unofficial buddy read of Summerween. And I can see why, because, you know, with the book being called Slasher Summer, this really does feel like the perfect thing to be reading for this readathon. And I'm so glad that I loved this as much as I did. This book definitely had its gory, kind of like shocking horror moments that I was really looking for. I think the only reason why it wasn't a 5-star for me is because I do feel like the ending got dragged out for me like just a little bit. Like there were a few chapters where I was kind of like, damn, like this chapter feels kind of long and like I hope that things kind of like wrap up. And it just felt like it was dragging a little bit towards the end. But otherwise, like I was so impressed by this book. And I was even saying, you know, like on my sprints, I was saying how impressive it is that for a cast of 7 characters, I feel like all of these characters were really easy to distinguish from one another, because I feel like that's one of the most intimidating things when you have such a big cast of characters. Like usually I'm like, all of their voices sound exactly the same. But I feel like in this case, all of the characters were distinct enough that I could easily tell them apart from each other. And I think that's a really impressive thing to do. I also love that the cover art really like displays what the characters actually look like. I know I was also talking about that with Rin on the sprints, but I love that all of these characters are depicted on the front cover like exactly as they're written in the book. I think that's really cool. And there were definitely some perspectives that I enjoyed more than others. I think one of my favorites to read from was actually the girl Jen, who was like the goth girl. She was one of my favorite point of views in this book because she was just so funny to read from her perspective. I was also kind of surprised by the guy Freddy, who was like the stoner. At first I thought his perspective would be like really annoying, but he was actually also really funny and entertaining to read from. I do think there was an element that ended up being kind of predictable for me, I guess, just in terms of like who the killer ends up being. But also I will say there was another twist in the book later on that I really didn't see coming, and so there were some surprising things for me at the end of this one. And this book just ended in exactly the way that I was hoping it would, which also made my heart happy. So overall, Slasher Summer ended up being a really great time. Like I could not have predicted that I would enjoy this book as much as I did for all of the reasons that I mentioned before. Like I'm just not the biggest fan of slashers. Every now and then, especially around this time of year during Summerween, I like to read them because I do think that slashers are kind of like the perfect thing to read during this readathon. Especially, oh my god, it really made me want to be like like cuddled up in a cabin by the lake or something. Like this really did have really good atmosphere of like a cabin at the lake, and there's like murder vibes, but it's also summer vibes at the same time. Like this had really great atmosphere. And I also loved all of the different references to like 80s horror movies. And you know, because I haven't read anything from this author before, I'm really excited to check out more books from this author in the future. So that is going to be all from me for this first Summerween vlog. But as I mentioned, I have 2 more vlogs that'll be coming out this week. I also have public reading sprints coming up on YouTube that I just announced. I'm going to be doing public sprints on Tuesday. I will have those linked down below if you want to hang out with me on Tuesday. And then I think the next Summerween vlog should be going up the next day on Wednesday the 8th. And then hopefully the last Summerween vlog will be up by this Saturday the 11th. So let me know how Summerween has been going for you so far. What have you been reading? Have you found any new favorites yet? And thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye!